Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Pasch podcast. Let's get started with your host, Brian Pasch.
Hi, this is Brian Pasch, and welcome to another podcast episode. I'm really fortunate to have Derek White. He's the managing partner of eDrive Auto, and we're going to have an engaging conversation today that we want to invite you into. But first, Derek, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks a lot, Brian. Really glad to be here. Great to catch up with you and looking forward to DMSC.
Yeah, and this is another one of the podcast episodes called The Road to DMSC, as we interview the leaders and innovators who will be featured and helping dealer education at the upcoming Digital Marketing Strategies Conference, May 22nd, 23rd, 24th in the Napa Valley. Derek, before we start talking about eDrive Auto, let's talk about your background. Dealers are always interested to know where people got started. So how did you get started in the automotive industry?
Great question. Well, it's I started back when I was just out of college and started my first business. And that business took me out to California. And I was the original founder and CEO for almost 9 years of Realty Track, which at one time was the third largest real estate website in the world. They ended up selling to Renovo Holdings. And I left that company, moved back to the Midwest, which is where I'm from, to raise my two daughters in the Midwest. And while I was there, read a book by a dealership in Texas Auto Direct, called 0 to 60 Million, and really got fascinated with the car business. So went out, started my own Highline business, had a 6,500 square foot warehouse in Ohio. And this is during the peak time when, the car business was going bonkers before cash for clunkers and all that. And did really well. Ended up, while I was in that business and on the retail side, learned a lot from other dealers, bought a lot of cars in the lane, bought a lot of cars on OVE, Manheim, etc. And out of that experience, I had some pain points, and which kind of, when I sold the business and moved back down to Florida, because quite frankly, I couldn't handle the weather anymore. I started eDrive Auto, and eDrive Auto was started out of some pain points that I was experiencing while I was an actual owner operator of a dealership. And one of the biggest pain points was just getting people to convert on my website and getting people to get to contact us, to interact, to have more engagement. And at the time, there just wasn't a lot of tools to do that.
Well, I will tell you that some of the best technology that we've seen over the years have common roots. And that is entrepreneurs that were working inside a dealership and decided to do something about it. So for dealers who are not familiar with eDrive Auto, you're in an elevator with them. You have a minute to basically explain what you do for dealers. What would your answer be?
Sure. So basically, we want to be kind of like another branch of the deal. We want to be the dealer's own IT department. And our tech stack powers credit, appraisal, and price validation solutions. We have a powerful API, and we can develop just about anything from the ground up. Very flexible, interchangeable lead conversion technologies, all the way to finance tools, etc. And we don't use vanity metrics like impressions, social media likes, comments, etc. We each of our solutions lead to real conversions, which lead to real sales opportunities for the dealer. And we may not cause the sale, but we certainly influence it.
Great. So Derek, let's put this in perspective now. Dealers have been flooded with phone calls and even educated through OEM programs on what we would call new digital retailing tools. Now, some people might say that, hey, we've been selling cars online for a long time. Why are we calling it digital retailing? So let's just say a tool which gives consumers a near penny perfect idea of what their lease payment will be or finance based on real credit, based on a real trade. So these digital retailing tools or modern retailing tools, I think there's probably over 25 of these companies. So how would you differentiate eDrive Auto's approach? Would you call yourself a digital retailing platform, or is it something different?
We're different. I would consider us more of an assisted retailing platform or a guided retailing platform for the dealer, because I think there's many paths to a sale. Doesn't just have to come through kind of an Amazon style platform where you have to go through tabs and tabs and tabs and enter a lot of information. We know that we're not there yet. A lot of the OEMs thought we would be there by 2022 or 2021, maybe even 2020. We're just not there. And as a matter of fact, one of your articles on LinkedIn states that about 74% of consumers prefer to finish the sales process at the dealership. So whatever path they take, we can help guide that customer. Let me give you an example. We know that trade is a very high conversion CTA.
Right.
So if you have value your trade instantly, okay, and then right below it you have build your deal online or buy online, 4 to 6% may pick the buy online, but our tool and our solutions convert upwards of 50 to 55%. So if you just have one solution, one digital retailing solution, one path to sale, you're going to lose a lot of customers. And these customers may be 90 days out. They may not be in market today. So if they start with trade, great. Once they start with TradeView, then we have a tool called CreditView that bolts on the TradeView, which is a soft pull, kind of like a pre-qualification tool. And we're partnered up with 700 Credit for those capabilities. We get payoff, and we can give the customer a credit range, and then the dealer gets a credit report on the back end that they can access through our dashboard, along with all the market analytics on the trade. And if that customer is looking, if they're on a VDP on a particular vehicle, we have technology, an AI technology that's called Predictive Vehicle of Interest, PVI. And what we'll do is we will carry that VIN number, stock number, into the CRM with the lead, with the credit information. So when BDC or Internet Manager or salesperson is following up that customer, they have a lot of information in front of them.
Well, you bring up a pretty interesting point, and maybe our dealers miss this, but the implication, and I've written about this, is how many CTAs are on an SRP or VTB, and you and I agree, Derek, that, dealer websites are out of control. They're not streamlined. But when dealers ask me, how many CTA buttons should there be? I always tell them, look, if you have a button that, let's just say, is your comprehensive digital retailing tool, which is, estimate my payments or, calculate my payments. I always tell them, look, you have to have a value my trade tool. You know what I mean? You always have to have that, because you're right. And you're thinking that someone who's not in market now is kind of high level shopping, but may want to know what their trade is worth. The customize your payments is way too down the funnel for them. So if you say, well, what could the CTAs be? It could be, customize my payments because it's that vehicle, value my trade, get pre-approved, and talk with someone now. You know what I mean? Like 4 CTA buttons. Like, what else do you really need? Because the number of people who are actually scheduling a test drive online is really low. And the number of people who need 2 different digital retailing tools, 3 or 4 CTA buttons is all you need. And what I'm hearing is that TradeView and CreditView could be 2 of those CTA buttons.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So if the customer is more inclined to get a quote unquote credit checkup with no harm to their credit, soft pull, they hit that button or that badge. And if they're just looking, and again, they may be 90 days out, but still you could be, in your 90-day roll, you could have 200 leads from TradeView that may not sell. They may not be ready to buy, right away, but they're going to buy within 90 days. So absolutely, they're different. When people come to a dealer website, they're usually pushed there by, Google, or they just type in, used car Jacksonville, and they'll go to Car Gurus, and they'll end up on the dealer website at some point. So they're going there for a reason. That reason may not be to buy their car right now, today. It may be, I really want to know what my trade is worth first before I make any move.
Yeah. And, Derek, we're also seeing some unique challenges for dealers because their websites are broken. And I've written about this as well. And listeners should make sure that you're subscribed to my Modern Retailing newsletter. About twice a month, I publish articles. But a few months back, I exposed, and still today I see the problem. If let's just pick a Honda dealer. There may be 15 to 20 different models when you consider gas, hybrid, combinations. And yet when you go on to a Honda dealer's website, you may only see 6 models showing in the SRP because those are the only models in stock. So if the dealer doesn't have any Honda Pilots, pilots are not shown in the search box. There's no way for even dealers to capture intent of somebody who says, well, how much is a Pilot going to cost me? So you mentioned that eDrive Auto is an extension of the dealership's IT department. I know a lot of dealers are asking for build to order, or build from the ground up tools to configure a car that they control the lead, doesn't push the consumer to the OEM site. What are you doing today, or what can you talk about future plans about, in addition to the trade tool, TradeView, in addition to CreditView, what about this kind of build your own vehicle tool?
Yeah, so when I originally had my dealership, we built some tools on my dealership website, and other dealers were asking me, hey, can I get that on my website? Light bulb goes off, and we, I pivot into the technology world, which is where I'm more comfortable anyway, because that's where I came from. And so recently, and I would say within the last 2 or 3 months, we've had several dealers ask us to build them a custom platform to where their customers, their market customers within their market, and some Highline dealers we work with, their market could go out 500 miles. So they want us to build something for them to where they can kind of keep that lead in house and work that lead. And we're calling it Fast Build. So it's a new product that we're rolling out this summer. We're excited about it. And it should be, I think by the end of the summer, we'll be ready to beta, and it'll go officially. I think October 1, we'll have it available, for any dealer that would like to have a trial of it. And we have all the OEM specs. We have the books. We have all the trim levels going through 2023 right now. So a lot of data points that we're working on. But I have a really, really good programming, coding, design team, and data scientists that we have on board, and vast resources to do that. So we're excited, and I know that was probably a little long-winded, Brian, but this is just another product that's came out of a pain point that a dealer has, and in a conversation over a happy hour or whatever, one of our dealers, they say, hey, can you do this for us? And of course, my answer is always yes. And then I go back and talk to my team, and I say, hey, and they said, whoa. And then we end up figuring it out and getting the schematic and the schema and everything taken care of. So,
Derek, I have a number of marketing managers and dealer principals from dealer groups listen to the podcast because they give me comments. OEMs are moving, some are moving to a single digital retailing tool that's being mandated. Stellantis, is one of them with eShop. And in general, the dealer community is divided whether they like eShop or not. But for dealer groups who want to create a retailing experience on their group site, right, which the OEM doesn't control. So let's just say a 10 or 15 store group, and let's just say it's Pasch Motors, and Pasch Motors wants to have a really streamlined website which follows the vision of the dealer group to make it easy for them to get a trade value, easy for them to get pre-approved, and easy for them to put together a pretty strong estimate of what the vehicle is worth. Let's just say that those dealer groups know that still over 90% of the transactions are happening in the showroom, so they're not worried about, penny perfect. Would eDrive Auto be able to create for them a kind of white labeled, customized experience that would allow dealer group websites to operate exactly as they see it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's again, that's my background, back at Realty Track when I was a younger man. And but back in the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s, that's exactly what we did. We did that for title companies, for real estate agencies, and that's right in my wheelhouse. And I've put together a team around me that kind of shares my vision for the future of automotive and where it's going. And just to dovetail off of that as well, Brian, is, I think the OEMs mandating to dealers would be similar to if you're a Hilton hotel and Hilton says, no, you can only use the Hilton Honors website for leads or to, rent your rooms. You can't use Expedia. You can't use hotels.com. You can't. And that's the best analogy I can come up with, but it's true. And I think that's what's happening. And if you look at going back into real estate with my real estate background, I remember the day where the multiple listing service was not available to consumers. It was only available as a little black box. It was only available to realtors. You could only know your listings in your area if you talked to a realtor. And there was a lot of pushback when the MLS decided to make it available to consumers. But it's made it better. It's made it better. And again, going back to my phrase, there's many paths to a sale.
That's right. And I think that what I'm trying to advocate is, hey, the OEMs want to see the full journey, including what's happening inside the dealership when a consumer comes through the sales process. And I think that's a valid point for the franchise network to say, hey, they're advertising nationally and regionally. Leads come in, people start with the tools, they eventually get pushed down to the dealer's website. The only thing we know now is whether they bought or didn't buy. We don't see anything in the middle. We really should, because we can optimize maybe our lending programs. We could optimize our sales process. We can work better when we see what's going on. And
yes,
I'm okay with that piece. But what I believe is that the dealers are the sellers. They know how to innovate. They know how to sell cars. So we just need to have a real-time data exchange, kind of an independent player who will be in the middle to allow dealer groups to pick whichever retailing platform. It could be eDrive Auto, customized, right? And that you would just, as changes are being made, as customers are coming in, you could be sending synchronization, real-time updates via API to real-time exchange, which updates the OEM's platform, and there are two companies that come to mind that probably could be great facilitators. One is called Motive Retail. The other one is well-known, Shift Digital, because they understand what it is to be in the middle. So I'm trying to advocate through some meetings, private meetings, to see if we can get the largest players, including the innovators like eDrive Auto, to the table and say, can we put together a framework that gives OEMs what we want and still protects dealer choice. That seems like the best way, Derek, in my mind, to allow innovators like eDrive Auto to still thrive and entrepreneurial spirit still continue.
I would agree 100%. And I think that there are a lot of companies out there that would advocate for that, including our company. And so there's certainly some uncertainty out in the OEM circles and with the franchises right now, I believe. And we just have to see how things play out. But we want to be a part of that mix, and I think we can bring a lot to the table.
Well, I love the fact that you can really customize the experience for dealers. I know that one of the early complaints of some of the digital retailing tools is that the framework or workflow was very fixed and it wasn't aligned with what the dealers wanted. So that's why I wanted to have you on the podcast, so I can educate dealers of all the entrepreneurs in this space that are trying to develop modern retailing experiences for consumers that really make them go, wow. Derek, I have one final question. With all the choices, with all the tech companies out there, and there are some wonderful tech companies in the automotive space, for the dealers who are listening, for the marketing managers or sales managers, general managers that are listening, what was one thing that you could say that differentiates your company that would encourage them to call you and get a demo?
The one thing that differentiates our company from the other competitors on the market, I believe, is the way that we interact with the dealer to where we're open to all ideas. It's not a one size fits all. Here's our nice little widget, and here's the price, set it and forget it. It's all about, we are here. If you do not like the way our appraisal diamond looks on your website, and by the way, we have a patent pending on the appraisal diamond and our valuation logic, we can change that. If you want a single trade value and not a range, we can change that. So I would say if I had to give you one phrase, it would be more flexibility.
Well, listen, that is music to a lot of people's ears, because as I mentioned, more and more dealer groups are realizing that if each OEM is pushing their own digital retailing tool, then the brand, the dealer group brand, has no control over what the retail experience is. And I'm advising dealer groups, they need to really build a customized, personalized experience on their dealer group site and to drive more of the marketing dollars there, because in that model, the experience can be controlled. Well, Derek, I want to thank you for being on today's show and sharing your story, your beginnings in automotive, and your passion to help dealers solve the pain points, just like you needed when you were a dealer. And for those of you who are listening to today's podcast, this is part of the series, The Road to DMSC. We have the Digital Marketing Strategies Conference coming up in a few weeks, May 22nd, 23rd, 24th. There are still dealer tickets available. And that's really important, because this is a conference where people come to learn. It's an intense conference. We start early in the morning. We end at 5 or 6 o'clock we have full day Monday and Tuesday, half day on Sunday. But this is the place to meet industry leaders like Derek. This is the place to talk about challenges and get solutions. And it's a really intimate experience. If you can't make DMSC, you should know that you can purchase a ticket to watch the main stage panels, keynotes, and discussions from the main stage. After the show, we'll be having that information on the website. But if you need to register for the conference, you still have time to do it. Just go to digitalmarketingstrategies.org. And if this is the first time you're listening to one of my podcasts, you should know that there are dozens of amazing interviews with industry leaders, disruptors, and people who have a heart for building the next technology platforms for modern retailing. So make sure you listen to those previous episodes, because they are timeless especially with so much change that are going on in the industry. And one last thing, if you're not signed up for my LinkedIn newsletter called Modern Retailing, just go to LinkedIn, search my profile, and you'll see the sign up link to be engaged on that platform. Derek, we just have a few days left before we head out to DMSC. Are you ready to have a glass of wine with me?
I cannot wait, Brian. I'm so excited. My fiance and I were out in Napa just a couple months ago, believe it or not. And I'm so excited to go back and really excited for this conference. I'm sure there's going to be a wealth of knowledge. We're sponsoring the lunch on Tuesday, the 24th, I believe. And I'll be on a panel with Glenn. So can't wait.
Well, that's great. And those of you who are listening who are part of larger dealer groups, you should know that the third meeting of the Automotive CXO Summit is the day before DMSC. It's Saturday, the 21st. And there are 2 seats left in the Automotive CXO Council. If you have any interest in joining that, you just have to be part of a C-suite. So CMO, CFO, CEO, COO, CRO of dealer group with 10 or more stores. And we'd love to invite you into this high-powered meeting of executives just before the DMS show. So everyone, thanks so much for listening to today's podcast. And I look forward to spending more time with you on a future podcast episode.